Welcome to the Performers with Purpose podcast, where we strive to educate and inspire the community in everything related to the performing arts. Please listen, subscribe, and share. Welcome to the Performers with Purpose podcast. My name is Teresa Hill-Putnam, and I am here with my very special guest, Ryland Despain. Welcome.
Hi, Teresa. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. It's been a while, and I'm really thrilled to have you here today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, let's just jump right in. I've got some questions for you today.
Yeah.
Our goal is to educate people who are interested in the performing arts. Okay, so we're going to talk to you about your experiences and let you share your words of wisdom. All right?
Okay.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Let's get into it.
At what age did you start getting involved in the performing arts, and what was your journey?
Um, and I was looking at the questions beforehand. I actually feel like the first two kind of play into this together. Um, I I really got into the performing arts when I was about 4 or 5 years old. My mom, I loved Dr. Seuss growing up, and my mom somehow found out about this little show called Seussical that has played a big part in my life and has become one of my dearest, most cherished shows, and got me involved. We went and saw a local production of it, and then I was just kind of hooked from the get-go. Before that, I've always been into music. I've always loved classical music and, just anything orchestral, anything I can really get my hands on. But this musical theater thing was just different. It was something that I really connected with.
Right.
And so from that, I got involved. I loved looking into more shows and doing more research on stuff. And then finally, we moved to St. George when I was 7 years old in 2010. And that's when I met you. My mom
Right on.
signed me up for a little local theater company that you happen to be running for a production of Bye Bye Birdie. And that was my first show. I played the little brother.
Yeah.
And it's where I met a lot of dear friends as well that I can still call friends today. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. You were such a cute kid.
Oh,
I
thank
mean,
you.
you're a handsome man too, but you were a very cute kid. I
Yeah.
enjoyed working with you when you were a little boy. You always followed directions. You always did what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
And you were very fun to work with as a little child. So I'm
Thank you.
thrilled, so thrilled that you're still performing and that you're still involved. How old are you now?
I'm 22, about to turn 23.
Nice.
Yeah,
All right, all grown up and
I know.
excellent. So you continued performing
Hmm.
through high school?
Yep, through all the way. I did a couple of years at your studio, and then I did stuff in middle school and throughout. But really, kind of where I started to get serious about it was that I went to Tuacahn High School,
Right.
and absolutely loved it. I had some great teachers there. Kyle Lewis, who's an incredible human being, who was the artistic director there and still is today, really kind of got me into it and really got me focused on, or kind of changed the idea that this is more of just something I'm doing for fun and more of, oh, this is something I could do for a career, and
Right.
teaching me how to take it seriously. And so that's kind of where I really kind of was able to find my footing in a way, if that makes
That's
sense.
awesome.
Yeah.
And you're in Jackson Hole right now, currently
Yes.
performing. Tell us about
Yep.
that.
At the Jackson Hole Playhouse. This is kind of a special place for me. I grew up coming to Jackson. It's kind of God's country. It's beautiful, gorgeous. My grandparents had a timeshare here for years and years. Never been to the Playhouse. And it's kind of a crazy coincidence how things ended up here. I was auditioning for a bunch of places this year, and I had a couple of offers, but I kept having this feeling that I needed to be here, and I just happened to take the offer, or heavily consider the offer, right as my grandparents, who loved this place so dearly, they were actually passing away, and they ended up passing on the same day.
Oh,
Um,
man.
and I was able to tell my grandma that I think this was going to be the place I was going to go, and we had that conversation, and she was super thrilled for me. And anyway, I don't mean to get too personal, but that's kind of one of the main reasons I ended up here. And then being here has been super fun. I've done a lot of, it's been about 5 years that I've started doing stuff more professional, starting getting paid for things. And I really love it. I kind of comedy is kind of my realm, and it's where I've just kind of thrived, and I love
You
being a
were
character.
always a funny little boy too.
Yeah,
That doesn't surprise me.
thank you. I love being a character performer. I love improving. I love working with the crowd. And so that's what this show is. It's called The Ballad of Cat Ballou. It's a show that they wrote about 20 years ago. It's written by, I don't know if you know who Vicky Garnick is.
Mm-mm.
She's the owner and producer of the Jacksonville Playhouse. She's been running
Okay.
it for almost 50 years.
Nice.
But it's their own show, very zany, kind of a original uh, melodrama that's super fun. And yeah, I play Cuthbert, who's sort of he's the town judge of a small town called Wolf City, Wyoming.
Hmm.
Um, and he may or may not um, be tempted to uh, abuse his power rather than use it for good and justice. And
Awesome.
it's super fun. I love playing.
Melodramas are always fun anyway because the
Yeah.
audience gets involved and
Yes.
it's just always a good time.
Hmm.
Which brings up something else. Pickleville. Tell
Yeah.
me your experience at Pickleville. We spent years and years and years at Bear Lake.
Yeah.
When my kids were little. Every summer we'd go to Bear Lake and go to Pickleville every year, and I noticed, that that's something that you performed.
Yeah, I love Pickleville. I don't know where to start. It's a place that I love so dearly, and I did one summer there last year. The Davis family that runs it, they're just the absolute best. I did. It's kind of similar to here, where they. This is kind of Jackson is kind of unique, where Cat Ballou is just kind of their one-off show that they've done originally. What's so amazing and I admire about Pickleville is they write an original musical comedy every year,
Oh, that's cool.
and it's
So it's all
original,
original works.
all completely original works. They
Yeah,
also do a like a Broadway show in rep.
right.
So they'll do, yeah. So last year they did Welcome to Dangerville, which was the original, and then we also did Newsies. But they're so fun and just super clever, and I don't know. It's fun to work on new works, and especially where the pieces they write are so tongue in cheek, and you
Hmm.
really get to kind of play to the audience, and the audience just understands what's going on. It was such a blast, and so last year I was in Welcome to Dangerville, and I was Mayor Dingus, who is also sort of a villain role. Sort of started out as a nice, fluffy, like the bear from Toy Story 3, that's like nice
Okay,
and
right, right.
warm and huggly and cuddly, and then turns into kind of being the villain towards the end. And it
Was
was
it a
just such
melodrama as well?
kind of, yeah. They call them modern melodramas, so they'll
Okay,
have a um so they write their own music, and they have like pre-recorded fully orchestrated tracks that are just so well done, and then they'll
nice.
also have like a pianist in the corner that's just
Hmm.
there for sort of mood, and um it's super fun. So in that sense, yeah, it is kind of a
So did you
melodrama.
get booed a lot?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was fun. Yes.
That's what's so fun. Boo!
Boo, hiss,
Yay!
cheer. Yes,
For the
exactly.
heroes or the villains. It's
Yep.
hilarious.
Yep.
So
And then I
fun.
also did, like I was saying, I also did Newsies there.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it was super fun. I go back in a heartbeat if I could. I almost went back this summer. It's kind of heartbreaking I wasn't able to, but yeah,
You needed to be in Jackson this year.
I
Keep
know. I know.
the legacy of your grandparents alive. It was a perfect timing for you.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Perfect choice to be
keep
here.
them right here, right?
Yep. Yes.
So good for you. Okay, so you perform all over the place. Where is
Yeah.
home?
So yeah, I perform all over the place. I'm from St. George originally, and my folks are still there. They've been there for about 15 years now, and then currently I go to UVU.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a theater student. I'm studying PR and communications, but theater's still a very big part of my life, and I hope to end up in the performing arts in more of an administrative role, whether that be I mean the main goal for me really is an artistic director or running a theater or somewhere in that direct vicinity. And then I'm also a minor in theater as well. But currently, I'm based out of Lehigh, so
Oh,
Utah
okay.
area. Yeah, and then I sort of my typically what I do is I'll be in Utah County for the fall and winter, and then the past this is year 4. I'll pick a place, do a summer stock gig, or work for a theater company and go and play for the summer. And it's the
Awesome.
best. Yeah.
Sounds like a fun way of life, right?
It's been awesome so far. Yeah.
Oh. Now, in the winter, you're going
Hmm.
to be playing Oaken
Okay.
in Hale Center's theater's production of Frozen. And is that in Salt Lake City, like Sandy area?
Yeah, it's in Sandy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when do you start rehearsals for that?
So that starts, it's kind of crazy. So this contract ends on August 30th, and then I go home on Sunday, and then that Monday on September 1st, I start school. I move into a new apartment, my on-campus job, and I start rehearsals on the same day. So it's going to be
Oh my
crazy.
goodness,
But
crazy.
I'm so excited. It's
It's a
super
good thing you're
fun.
young, right?
What was that?
I said it's a good thing you're young.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
young
Yeah.
and have energy. That's good.
Yes.
A mattress on the floor in a new apartment. That's all you need, right? You
That's
don't have to actually
exactly
unpack
right.
boxes.
Yes.
Might be a while before that happens.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. And then when do those performances run?
So Frozen's a bit of a longer run. Frozen runs from mid-November to Valentine's Day.
Oh, fun. So
Yeah.
you'll be doing that, going to school,
Hmm.
working,
Yeah.
doing everything.
Yep. Having a grand old time. I'm super excited. I mean, I've worked at Hale a handful of times in the past, and really since I've been associated with them since I graduated high school in one way or another. And um, I don't know.
It's
It's
a
just
pretty awesome theater.
it's so
Yeah.
great to work, and
Hmm.
it's really unique. I can't think of another non-union house that um, provides opportunities like that for performers, and that something at that quality is just extremely rare, and
Hmm.
I love it. It's a great
I'm
place to
glad you
work.
get these opportunities. That's
Uh,
fantastic. Okay, so let's get into being a performer. You must have a lot of performance memories. What's your
uh,
favorite one? And do you have any funny stories to share?
oh geez. Let's see. This will go back to Pickleville. This is kind of a crazy story. I was originally cast as the understudy for the mayor in Welcome to Dangerville for Mayor Dingus, and then slowly but surely, due to some unfortunate circumstances, I kind of just morphed into the role of being the main Mayor Dingus's double.
Mhm.
Um, and he was going back to California back and forth, and I was just taking over as many shows as I could for him. And then one day, once he was back for good, but he had gotten back and he had tested positive for COVID and just wasn't feeling good. And so he got
Mhm.
back on a Tuesday. I did the Tuesday shows. We did a Newsy show on Wednesday, and then I went to Logan, which is a small town about an hour away, on Thursday
Okay.
because they told me that I didn't need to be there because he was feeling
Mhm.
better. And then he did the 4 o'clock show and he was fine. And then the seven it gets around to the 7:30 show, and I get a call from my stage manager, and he's like, our Mayor Dingus just threw up and needs can't go on. And it was 7 o'clock. The
And
show
you're in
started at
Logan?
7:30. I'm in Logan, which is an hour away,
Right.
so I had to book it from Logan to Garden City. And I
Oh.
mean, you know that canyon. It's
Well, it's a
it's
canyon. Yeah, it's
Right.
just,
It's hard to
yeah.
get through. There's no service.
Yeah.
It's unpredictable, but thankfully I was able to get there in just about 45 minutes. Um, and I ran in. I got there maybe about right before they were about to go into intermission. The stage manager and one of my cast members just had my pants open for me to just like take my pants
Oh
off and
my gosh.
step into them,
And
and
just
then
jump
put
in
my
and,
shirt on, and
oh
yep,
my
jump in,
goodness.
put my mic on, and then he went on for act one and I went on for act two.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And it was genuinely, and it was kind of like a fun way to say goodbye to that character. It was the last time I went on for that part, but it was it was
Mhm.
it was really fun, and it was probably my favorite performance I did for that character, just because it was.
Sometimes the stressful ones are the most memorable and the funniest,
Yes.
and you enjoy them the most.
Right. Yes,
You know,
exactly.
improvising, yet life is an improvisation, right?
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
show
and you
must
just
go on.
right, and you're just kind of, it's that adrenaline rush that you just
For
got to keep
sure.
going. Yeah, we had.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can think of a couple of others. There's another one from Pickleville that was this is more of just a really cool memory. We had, in Bear Lake, because it is a small town, even though it's heavy tourist traffic, but it is a small
Right.
town, and
Hmm.
things go wrong. The power went off quite a bit, and
Right.
we were in the middle of a performance for Newsies, and the power just shut off in the middle of
I've
Act.
been in Pickleville with the power off.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
happens.
It just happens, and you kind of just have to go with the flow. And it was
Right.
right in the middle of Act Two. The lights go out, and we had to stall. It was a 4 o'clock show. We had a 7:30 show, so we were under kind of a bit of a time crunch. Or we couldn't keep our audience there forever. And
Right.
so finally, after talking to the power company, we realized we weren't able to get the power back on in time. So we opened up, that theater, they have the shutters that are on the side.
Right.
They opened those up to let in as much natural light as possible. And we finished the show with a small little Bluetooth speaker and
That works.
right.
Battery
And no
powered.
light. Yeah. And it was
Oh
awesome.
God.
It was so thrilling. And it was just to have that
Well,
connection.
it's a pretty intimate theater anyway,
Right.
so that would have worked.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And as long as you project, I'm sure that
Right,
they could hear you,
right.
so
Yeah.
it's all good.
And I think for some reason it's weird. I feel like you feel more connected. I felt more connected to the audience, and I felt more like they could hear me more because the lights were on and they could see me and I could see them. And so I just had that more of like a natural connection with them, if that makes sense. It was
Right?
really strange, but it was really cool. Yeah.
Back in, I think it was 2005 or 2006,
Hmm.
my son was performing at Tuacahn. He was playing John in Tuacahns production of Peter Pan,
Oh yeah.
and the power went out. And, that's a 2,000 seat theater,
Right.
and it's outdoors. And Captain Hook just kept it going. It was
Hmm.
amazing. He was
Yeah.
so funny and just jumped in and started improvising, and it was awesome.
That's awesome.
So, it was
Yeah.
great to see performers being able to do stuff like that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
why, I mean, that's why I love theater. It's just great to, you never know what you're going to get,
right.
and just keep going with the flow. But that's why we keep doing it. That's why we keep coming back.
Well, and you could perform the same show 300 times and you have 300 different performances.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
never the
Exactly.
same. It's
Yes.
always different.
Yeah.
Talking about that, tell me the day in the life of a performer. What is
Hmm.
your schedule like?
So here specifically in Jackson, we're just getting out of kind of the grind of rehearsals,
Mhm.
which they've been fun. They've been a little brutal, but we've got 3 weeks to put on a show, and we've had our hurdles, but so when we started here, we were doing 12-hour days every day for about 3 weeks,
Right.
and just trying to get through it, get the show staged. It was a little difficult. We actually had one of our characters, unfortunately, due to some circumstances, had to drop out at the last minute. So we were looking for another person to play that role, and
Oh,
and he plays a pretty pivotal part in Act Two. So we weren't able to
mhm.
stage Act Two, all of Act Two, until maybe 3 days before opening, which
Wow.
was just kind of crazy. So
Hmm.
um, Act One is really polished and really really
Hmm.
sharp, and we're still getting there with Act Two, but we're really close. But now that we're open, we've been open for about a week. We've been in a bit of a preview period for the past week and a half, and then we opened officially on Wednesday night.
Okay.
Um, and now that we're open, the day kind of just consists of um, us just waking up. Most of us sleep in and recover from the show last night, and
Life of a performer.
right. Yep.
Right.
I'll go to the gym. I'll go get some groceries, and then around 3 o'clock I'll do a bit of warm up. And then Jackson's unique where you do more than just performing. And it alternates on what you do every night. But some nights we do. It's the longest running Wild West shootout in the country.
Yep.
And the Jackson Hole Playhouse has been producing it for about 20 years. They took it over about 20 years ago, but it's been running since about the late 60s.
Mhm.
And so I get to do that every night. I get to be a gunslinger, and
Wow.
it's so fun. I die like 5 minutes into it, and I lay on rock hard pavement for about 10
That
minutes.
sounds like
But
great fun.
it's so fun, and the audience just tries to like wake me up, and I don't know. I had a kid come and try to like kick me in the head the other day and try
Oh
to.
no. And you
It
have
was
to stay dead.
Yeah, I have to stay dead. It was
Oh
it was
my, you
being
can't
so
just grab the
slow.
kid's foot and say, "Don't
Yes.
kick me."
But it
Oh
was
my.
it's honestly like one of my favorite parts of the job. And it's just kind of bringing back like that. You can really kind of play into the improv of everything and get the audience involved. And it's so fun. And then, on other days we'll alternate and we'll work in. Jackson has a little sister restaurant that sort of acts like if you pay for the full package, you can do like a dinner and a show. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
called the Saddle Rock Family Saloon. And we're sort of a singing wait staff, and we go around and act as normal waiters, and then we sing old Western country songs in this
Fun.
really, really cool, decked out. It looks like a Wild West saloon. It's just so fun, and just kind of steps you back in time, really immersive. And then we'll days kind of depend. Shootout, we typically get there around 5, and then Saddle Rock we get there 4:30, and then keep going up until about half hour before places, and then we go backstage. We get changed into our show costume. Show starts directly at 8 o'clock. Go till 10, 11, and then go home and directly go to bed.
Or try to settle down first and go to bed. Or do you
Right.
find yourself a little bit hyped up when you get home, that it takes a little while to kind of calm down?
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
you know I sometimes I forget. I feel like the times when I'm more into the arts and more like I just feel more passionate about it is when I'm not in a show. And I feel
Right.
like that's because I just forget what that grind feels like. And
Right.
not saying that I don't not love it. I love it. It's just taking care of yourself is important. And
Yes.
just feeling that grind of like, you get home at 10:30 and you won't get into bed till 11:30 midnight, and then um wanting to sleep in later just because
Mhm.
doing a show, it just does things to your body that
Yeah.
you're working muscles that you don't always use, both
Well,
physically
and
and
you're an
mentally.
athlete.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
I
even
can.
just singing. I mean, even not dancing. Even if you're just singing, it really takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, it does.
And acting takes a lot of brain power and a lot of
Hmm.
physical energy. And add the
Yeah.
dancing on top of it,
Hmm.
you're exhausted by the time you're finished doing a performance
Yeah.
as a
And
performer. Yeah.
I mean, and then multiply that. Here you're doing that 6 times a week plus a
Hmm.
4 hour shift in a restaurant beforehand. And then it
Right.
can be hard doing shows at Hale. You're doing when I did Christmas Carol for 2 years. Sometimes you're doing 4 shows in a day,
Right.
and it can be brutal, but it's
Brutal. Yeah.
you just keep powering through. And just that's kind of when you're under that strict of a schedule, you kind of naturally have to learn how to self-discipline. And
Absolutely. So
just
on your days off, do you just crash
yeah.
or catch up for the week?
Yeah, catch up.
Yeah.
Jackson's kind of a nice place for that. You can go on. There's so many places to go for a drive, and um,
It's
a lot,
so beautiful up there.
it's so great. A lot of
Hmm.
times I'll go to Teton Village,
Yep.
which is a place I spent a lot as a kid, and I'll just walk around. And
Hmm.
we actually live right down the street from the Playhouse, so
Oh,
we
nice.
walk to the theater a lot. So we're right down the street from downtown Jackson,
And you're
which is
staying with other cast members?
mhm, yeah. We live
Yeah.
in cast housing.
Cool.
And so yeah, it's awesome. It's a great place to sort of reconnect and um
Cool.
to recover after a long
Hmm.
performance every night.
Do you have any favorite projects that you've worked on or some that you really didn't care for?
Let's see. Favorite projects. I really loved Welcome to Dangerville. Just working on the opportunity to work on um an original piece was so fun. And to be in the room with an author. He wrote and directed the show, who was just so willing to kind of give us the material, and we could just have at it. And
You had some
I
creative freedom then.
yes, we
That's
did. and
nice.
and what's great about Pickleville is you can improvise, and the show changes and evolves throughout the summer. And so it's fun to
Hmm.
kind of to have your own stamp on it. And what I really liked about um having a double in a show like that is you look at a picture between us, and I'm a big kind of scruff guy, and he's this little like 5'2" little guy with a beard, and we're very different. And so because of that, our mayors were complete opposites from each other.
Interesting.
But I found some joy in it because we weren't comparing ourselves to one another.
That's awesome.
You
But you
know,
could probably still learn from each other. Like, oh,
yes,
I really like how he did that. And
yes,
then maybe apply some of what he did to what you do and vice versa.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of
awesome.
that was kind of fun for me. Is I spent the first couple of weeks just kind of watching him
Hmm.
during performances and just kind of like taking things where I could, and then maybe coming up with my own bits on stage. And then afterwards, when I was kind of done with my shows, the last 2 weeks of the run, just watching him every once in a while do the show and like seeing the things that I did that he implemented and things that we kind of came up with together was really kind of cool and satisfying.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it that you're able to be creative and use your comedy side. Like I said, you were a very funny kid, so I'm
Oh,
glad
thank you.
that you're continuing to be comical. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. And then to answer the second half of your question, I won't go into specifics. I've been very blessed with the contracts I've had professionally. That I've had a lot of really great. Most of them have been really great experiences, and even the ones, if there was one that was a little rough, I was still blessed with a really great cast or a really great just team behind me to support me. And I think the thing that I've learned from those types of projects is um, just be, I would just say, constantly be aware of the projects you choose, and then go
Mhm.
into the project kind of with your, just be be the best professional version of yourself that you can be,
Absolutely.
and get through it, and kind of hold your head up high. And sometimes it can be really rough for a lot of people in the company, and to rally around that. But I think it's just important to just realize that, especially with these contracts, or shows don't last forever. They're typically,
Sure.
when you're doing little regional stuff, it's a couple of months, and just kind of just learning how to get through it is just kind of what I've
Well,
learned.
and sometimes the worst projects are the best learning experiences,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? You
Yeah,
learn
and
so much
it's
from
the ones.
everything that you do. It doesn't have to be a good project to learn a lot.
Right.
So,
And the project I'm referring to, I can look back on that project and say, I met and was able to create some relationships with some really great people
that's
that I
awesome.
can call close friends. And we all just sort of, trauma bonded throughout the
Well,
crazy.
and I feel like everybody that you meet and every project that you do, they're there for a reason.
Yes, absolutely.
And every experience is an important experience. Sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not, but if you turn it into a learning experience, then you'll always come out ahead. So,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had some advice to give to somebody that's interested in becoming an actor, a singer, a dancer, a performer, what kind of advice might you give them?
Um, I don't know, because I feel like everyone's journey is different. Um,
Absolutely.
and I feel like for me personally, um, I don't know how I got here was just it was I mean, I think it's no secret that a lot of things happen because you're in the right place at the right time, and there's luck.
Yeah.
But I also say, the people that get there, luck just doesn't happen to those that don't work hard. It's,
Right.
it happens to those that have earned it. And so I would just say get training immediately, especially if you're younger. Start
Mhm.
out at a young children's theater, and then venture off. I'd also say um, see a lot of stuff, and whether that be, even if you're not in a place where you can see a lot of theater regularly, there's so much on the internet.
There is so much on the internet. And,
Yes.
they're coming out with, even Frozen is going to
Right.
be on Disney Plus, I
Right.
think the 20th of June or something.
Yeah, just coming up.
Stage productions, they're coming out with them for the general public, which is fantastic because a lot of people
Right.
can't afford to go to the theater.
Hmm.
But, watch Hamilton,
Right.
watch Frozen, you can learn so much.
Well, and even more than that, there's a lot of really what I love about this sort of generation with the Broadway sort of going digital is even more than just the commercial shows. There's a lot of really interesting, unique pieces that are available that you can find online. I just watched that George Clooney's Broadway show just had, for the first time ever, was broadcast on cable television just a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Good Night and Good Luck, and that was really cool and interesting. And so
Cool.
just kind of constantly being on the lookout for that and finding stuff. I would say even go beyond the the big commercial things. Find the obscure stuff. Find the things that you find unique and interesting. And
The original pieces sometimes are just so amazing.
yeah,
So,
yes, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And just I don't know, just constantly looking out and seeing what you find, what fits your style or what you find interesting is honestly what I say do. And then don't treat it like the Bible. Don't find a piece or a character that you love so much and then only emulate yourself off that one person. Find 10 different pieces that you love or 10 different things that you like, and then
And try to be a bit versatile.
yes, and try to right. And there's a great quote from Conan O'Brien where he talks about how all of the greatest comedians of his generation wanted to be David Letterman, and they failed. But because they failed, they are their own great comedians and have gone on to do great work. And I
Well, and
think
you don't need to be like anyone else. You can
right,
just, right?
mm-hmm.
But always keep learning and studying, always.
Yeah,
Right?
yes,
Hey, thank you so much.
of course.
You are amazing. And one of these days I will get to see you perform.
Okay,
I would love that.
absolutely. Come see Frozen. I'm excited. It's going to be a huge, gigantic show, and I'm super excited for it.
Well, awesome. I'm in LA right now.
Okay,
I live in LA. I'm a performance and empowerment coach here, and I work with
wonderful.
mostly professional performers, but I
Yeah,
also, teach a handful of kids as well.
yeah,
And so if I can break away and head up to Salt Lake area,
yeah.
I would love to see you in Frozen.
Perfect.
Um, but one of these days we shall catch up some more. Tell your
Absolutely.
family hello for me.
I will.
It's so great to see you, and thanks so much for
Yes.
coming on today.
Absolutely. It's good to see you.
Take care.
All right.
Have a
Okay.
great run. Break a
All
leg.
right. Okay. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Performers with Purpose podcast. We hope you have been inspired to go out and follow your dreams.